everyone, and welcome to the CSS Security mini briefing, where we will present a short summary of what was released today, October 4th, 2021. My name is Josh Daniel, and I'm a risk manager in the customer service and support organization here at Microsoft. We'll start this video with an overview of the release, and then we'll dive right into a few of the vulnerabilities. Please note that the details of the vulnerabilities we're covering in this video may change, and the authoritative location for information will always be the online content in the Security Update Guide. And that's the links to all the CVEs that you'll see in this description, and at the end, that is the Security Update Guide. So let's start off with an overview of the release. So this month, October 2021, we have a total of 74 vulnerabilities that are being addressed across all the products. Of those vulnerabilities, 20 of them are remote code execution vulnerabilities, and another 3 are critical vulnerabilities. When we look at the scoring of these vulnerabilities, we typically score these between a 1 and a 10 on the CVSS scale, with 10 being the worst. And when we look at the max score across the entire release, this month we have a CVE that comes in at 9.0, again on a scale of 10, so quite elevated, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. When we look at the average score across all the vulnerabilities across the release, we have an average this month of 7.0, which is a little bit lower than what we've been seeing on our average scoring. Next, we'll look at the publicly disclosed vulnerabilities, and this month we have 3, which is just below our average over the past 13 months. And finally, when we look at the number of exploited vulnerabilities, these are vulnerabilities that at the time of release we've noticed some type of exploitation. This month we have 1, and that's just a shade above our 13-month average of 1.6. So first vulnerability that we'll talk about, this one is CVE 2021-26427, and this is a remote code execution vulnerability in Exchange Server. This one is an important class vulnerability, not publicly disclosed, nor is it known to be exploited out in the wild. This is the vulnerability that has the 9.0 out of a 10 score, so definitely elevated. And as we can see here through the scoring metrics, the attack vector is adjacent, the attack complexity is low, privileges required is low, and user interaction is none. And there are no known mitigations or documented workarounds for this vulnerability. And as you can see on the side, the affected software is Exchange Server 2013, 2016, and 2019 with their respective cumulative updates. So if you have any Exchange servers in your environment, please know there is an update this month to address this important vulnerability. So next, let's talk about CVE 2021-36970. This is a spoofing vulnerability with an important severity. This was privately disclosed to Microsoft, and there are no known exploits out in the wild. As we could see, a base score of 8.8, quite elevated, and while it requires no privileges, it does require user interaction, so that's a key point there. So as you may have noticed, Microsoft has released a handful of vulnerabilities in the print spooler component over the past few months. This is along those lines. This was reported to us responsibly by security researchers and under the Coordinated Vulnerability Disclosure Process, otherwise known as CVD. So great security researchers reporting this responsibly, and we're fixing this. Microsoft is fixing this as part of our normal servicing process. So thank you for the security researchers for privately disclosing this to Microsoft and following those Coordinated Vulnerability Disclosure rules. As we can see, the affected software is all versions of in-support Windows, from desktop 8.1 up through 10 and Windows 11, as well as supported server versions going back to 2012 all the way up through Server 22. So please note in the cumulative update or the monthly roll-up updates or the security-only updates, there is a vulnerability here for this print spooler. There's no extra steps here. Install the update and you'll be protected from this vulnerability. And so finally, the last CVE we'll discuss here, this is 2021-40449. This is an elevation of privilege vulnerability in the Win32K component. This is another important severity vulnerability, privately disclosed to Microsoft. However, one thing that's different here among the other ones, this is one of the vulnerability where at the time of release, exploitation was detected. So you can protect yourself completely from this vulnerability by installing the updates, and Defender can also protect against the known exploits and may protect against some of the unknown exploits, but your best path for mitigation here is to install the update, and that will protect you from the known vectors as well as unknown vectors. So as we can see here, base score 7.8, again on a scale of 10. So maybe not as high as the other ones, but again, this allows elevation of privilege, which is a critical type of, which is an important severity here, and so it shouldn't be ignored. So real simple, install the update and you're protected. So if you have any defective software, which is all versions of Windows that are in support, desktop is 8.1 through 10 and 11, and the server is all the way back to 2012 up through server 22. If you have any of those versions of Windows, please know there's an update for you this month that can address this. Again, nothing special. Install the update. You'll be protected from this Win32K vulnerability as well as the print spooler vulnerability and a couple dozen other vulnerabilities in each product. So that brings us to a close for today. I want to thank everyone for coming in and listening to me talk, and I will talk with you next month. Thank you.